Our today's webinar is going to be on influencing and motivating others towards shared goals, especially with a focus on knowledge, skills, competences in managing our work when it comes to innovation, when it comes to introducing novelties into our professional work. And in this regard, I was actually trying to approach as actively as possible. So what I would like us to do now for our warming up, think about those 5 trigger questions. When you are thinking about introducing innovation or any kind of novelty in your work, in a position when you are the one who needs to push this innovation, these changes, also through the real world, everyday operational work. So you are the one who needs to introduce the innovation to your team, and of course with the expectation that this innovation will then be used and applied for better work and for better work results. And doing so, I would like you to take a couple of minutes now and think about those novelties that comes to that you can recall at first glance and that you were introducing in your work. So what were kind of some really new activities, operations, tools, whatever, that you needed to introduce into your work, and that you needed also to convince your team, your colleagues, to use them, to apply them, and to also to kind of implement them also in your work. And secondly, how do you think, or what were your feelings about it? So what were the reactions? How do you feel about this process of introducing something very new, about the reactions, the feelings that you kind of felt when you were doing this? And finally, were there any kind of changes that you kind of were able to monitor because of these novelties in your work? And at the end, today, after a couple of time went through this first introduction of those novelties, how do you feel about this process now? Kind of when you are tracing it from the time distance. So this is something that I would like you to think about and to respond, to describe actually your attitude, your reaction, and your feelings related to the processes of introducing novelties or innovations into your working process. So yes, we are living in the world of innovation, of the novelties, exactly at this moment very much, and exactly in our work, be it as the university professors, researchers, or professional staff, because there are so many changes behind our doors right now, and it is really up to us how we are going to respond to them. But first of all, we need to understand that the responses, the attitudes inside our community are going to be very, very different, and in relation to the fact that we are standing on different positions, on different interests. So students want just to fulfill their study obligations as easier and as effective as possible for them. We want to implement our obligation to gain or to forward the knowledge to the students as smoothly and as effective as possible. and also the professional employees at the university as well. You would like to use these new computer-related technologies to ease your work as well. So we are here all in the same kind of a pool, but with very different obligations, expectations, and also motivations behind it. And I think that this is one of the first very important things that we always need to be aware. Even though we are in the same room, our perspective of this room can be very, very different, and it really depends on our interests on one side, but on the other also on our character, our emotions, our attitude towards the world in general. And when we are talking about motivating and influencing in the world of this new or even innovation, we are mostly at the beginning talking about motivating in the world of unknown and uncertain new reality. We don't know it. We cannot predict what is going to happen, but we just either we get the instruction that we need to, or maybe we just feel that this can be something great, this can be something nice. And then we are facing actually with three challenges. The first one is more like an objective fact. That means that, yes, we don't need to ask ourselves anymore whether the novelty is here or it is not, whether it is affordable, available to us or not. No, it's here. So this is the objective fact, and it's not kind of needed that we do make a deeper deliberation further on. But then when we come to the next two facts, here actually the challenges are much more much bigger. This is the second fact. The fact is this kind of a subjective fact, our emotions that follows the novelty. And I would really like us maybe to focus predominantly on this subjective element today through this webinar, and maybe just slightly touch also this third part, which is as well very, very important, and was also emphasized by all three of you that were intervening, saying, oh, okay, also this operational element is very, very important. So the ways, the manners, how we approach to implement the procedures, the techniques, tools, whatever that we are going to apply in our work to kind of to motivate, to foster, to implement this novelty or innovation. And again, as it was already emphasized, and it's written here as well, we do need to be aware that we are standing on very different working positions and also obligations that need to be done. So, objective fact in our world right now are the computers and everything related to the computers. And especially in our field of work, this is, I would say, the most prevailing novelty or innovation in the last 20, 30 years. And when I was trying to find some of the data showing how long the use of computer, internet, and both of them have been applying in our academic and research community, I found this kind of in a way quite interesting data and results showing that actually the use of active use of computer, internet, and both of them can be kind of traced somewhere here from 7 to 9 years. I think that these data are kind of like couple of years old, so put it like -5 years before. And what can be seen here? What is the main message from this pie? It is the fact that actually, even though it was more than 20 years, 30 years almost, when the computers and the electronization of also our work was enabled, it took so much time, so long, that we actually were able to start with active application of the capacities that the computers are enabling us in our work. And it was the same kind of a interesting thing as well with the further on with the internet. While as you can see, it was like 4 to 6 years. Here the share is bigger, kind of after this 7 to 9 years with the use of computer, and here actually it was 4 to 6 years. Why so? Because the internet actually follows the use of computer. So it's always something that kind of it makes sense, meaning that when the novelty, when the innovation is here, we need to give it time to kind of slowly come to our world. But more or less, it would be not possible to ignore it completely. That means that if we would say, okay, we are not interested in this, then probably we are at the end of the day saying that, okay, probably I need to think about changing my job into something else. Okay, here as well some other data. Interesting fact here was that when you compare the use of computer in various fields of our lives, of our everyday life, it turns out that actually the use of computer at work is not the prevailing one. Here, actually, it was an interesting data. Okay, it's related to the American society, but the prevailing use of data was reporting with the aim to keeping in touch with friends and family. That means that actually, what's the main message from this slide? The fact that the introduction of a sort or a kind of novelty of innovation in our work does not mean a kind of a thing that it would be very unique to our world. Mostly, actually, the innovation is kind of a widespread. That means that it is not necessary that it will only kind of work for the world of our work, but that this innovation will probably be applied also in different worlds of our society, of our everyday life. So it is not, at the end of the day, it is not only the novelty in the field of where we work, but it is mostly the novelty that will spread around our whole life in various fields of our everyday. And probably something else is going to happen with the novelty that is actually knocking on our doors in the last couple of years, and it is called artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, as we already heard, and the robots. There are some data from a couple of years ago, showing how the increase of the use of robots, artificial intelligence, and related tools have been dramatically increasing over the years, and that it is also showing that there are some regions of the world where this increase is actually taking the lead. But at the end of the day, we probably, all of us right now, are already facing with the fact that at least one kind of an artificial intelligence tools has been already very actively present in the work that we are doing. And taking this visual capitalist data graphics, I can also confirm the very, very interesting estimation of the share of employment that are going to be exposed to artificial intelligence automatization in the following years. And believe it or not, actually the office and administrative support is the one that is actually in the lead in this prospect. Then quite interesting legal one, and quite on this top, at the top of the scale, are also life, physical, and social sciences. So exactly the worlds that we are working in. And it is the fact that, yes, we are facing it. We know that it is already here. Also, just like Nuria was explaining us a couple of minutes before that, we are also facing with the first kind of unexpected, we could even name them negative effects, even though we were expecting something very different, something very, the opposite actually in this use, but then it turns out that it is at this first glance a kind of a counterproductive. This doesn't mean that that this novelty is not good, that it is negative, that it is kind of something that we need to abandon, but the opposite, that we need to think and that we need to approach towards the use of this novelty differently, with more deeper, more detailed deliberation that we were expecting it in the beginning. So something about these objective facts, and slowly coming to the core, to the heart of today's debate about our human attitude and reaction towards these facts. I would like to remind us about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It is almost 100 years old visualization that Maslow was preparing for us, showing us that actually we are kind of improving in our own development in this kind of a hierarchical manner. That means that our emotions are first of all very fundamental and are related to the fulfillment of our psychological needs for food, for living conditions, and so on. Then, of course, for the safety, which means this kind of a physical safety and financial safety. Then for this kind of really emotional part that is kind of related to the commitment to somebody, to something. and then the parts that are the ones that are related to what we are about what we are talking about today. That means the needs that are related to the to our work motivation. Why we are working, it's okay, first of all, and in the beginning, of course, for the fulfillment of this lower rank of the pyramid, but further on, definitely we are also kind of being motivated to work to fulfill ourselves first, to get kind of esteem for our work, and then at the end at the top of the whole of our working, I would say, priority to grow in this kind of a self-fulfillment, self-actualization manner. And yes, it is a question when we are facing this pyramid with the ongoing novelties and innovation, where do we find ourselves in this regard in our working position? Do we feel safe with applying them? Do we feel that this is professionally good? So something that Nuria was kind of emphasizing. Do we, or maybe even, yes, Georgios was very, very good with this point. I want to take my students out from the computers, from the cabinets, from the teaching rooms, out in the real life. So something quite different. And on which of those levels do we actually find ourselves? Which kind of needs level do we kind of fulfill in the world of introducing? First of all, maybe even understanding innovations that are here in our working place. Then secondly, of introducing them. And thirdly, actually in convincing others to use them. So which level of this pyramid we are actually fulfilling with these processes? There is no single answer to this. It really actually depends on us. On our attitude, on our feelings, on our character in a way. And therefore, I would like to remind some of you, or maybe to introduce to the others, a very, I really like it, a kind of a career personality model that was developed in the 50s of the 20th century by John Holland, and he actually developed this model because he believed that people's career choices, so what we are doing and how we are as the personalities approaching to our work, that this really is influenced by our personality types. And that we can actually identify the most or the prevailing personality type for ourselves, and that this personality type can even change through years. So it is not a fixed one. So maybe if we had a personality type, I don't know, in the beginning of our 20s, it can actually change when we are 50 or so. And he said, yes, this test can show us how do we approach to a various kind of working demands or expectations, and we have been asked in this test about 48 tasks that we are supposed to do at our work, and what it is expected that we do answer whether we would dislike, slightly dislike, neither like, not dislike, slightly enjoy, or enjoy this task if we were supposed to work on it. And it is quite interesting. Mostly, I do give this this test to my students and also to my colleagues in that kind of similar kind of seminars, and it always has a very, very strong effect at the end when it is made, because people are surprised. Quite frequently, they are surprised because they are saying, "Okay, I was not aware of the fact that I am that kind of a personality at work, or that my attitude towards work is like it is, like it turned out with the results of the test." But thinking about it then afterwards, after the results, yes, it is explaining a lot. And it explains actually why some of the working decisions that I have been making were as they were, even though they were kind of I was not expected, and I was surprised by myself. Now I do understand better why this is like it is. So, because this kind of emotional element is so how to say, it has a very strong explanation value for understanding who we are and understanding why we are more eager and even more successful in the introduction of the novelties in our work, why our attitudes toward work are as they are. I would suggest us now to take a couple of minutes. It takes you around 5 minutes to fulfill this test and to see where we are standing. Differently actually reacts to the innovation. It also can be differently shaped when you need to motivate this person. For example, if you are a realistic personality, actually you are probably quite open to the innovation. You are open to the motivation for that is behind the idea to introduce the innovation. While if you are, for example, conventional type, then probably you need to think everything in advance before doing something, and in this sense, you need more time. You need to prepare everything, to shape everything first, and then like go into it. Quite similarly as investigative type of the personality. Artistic, it really depends. So. The point of this test and the reason why I choose it for today's purposes is exactly the one that shows you that nothing is wrong with you if you don't react exactly the same as your colleague in the same office is reacting on the same thing, because we are different, and it is actually up to the management part, those who are actually responsible for introducing innovations, for motivating us for the innovation to find the way to us. And while mostly we are exactly those personalities that need to motivate others how to approach, be it the professors, researchers, or professional support for them. It's really actually one of the very, very challenging work obligations when we are at this point that we need to do something like that. And it is not easy. And it is quite normal that we do feel a demanding job behind us when we need to do something like that. And it is quite common that we do make mistakes, that we need to repeat some approaches when it turned out that maybe we were not successful with the first try. And this is something that I would really like you to remember for the future, because we don't have a kind of a template approaches. We don't have template tools, procedures when we are introducing something new. Yes, there is a set of various techniques and procedures that we can apply. We will go very quickly through them, but it is not necessarily that they will work in a concrete situation that we need to into which we need to introduce successfully introduce the changes, the novelties. And speaking about that, and maybe just to continue our debate with Maria's help, I would like all of you now to think about the motivation procedures, techniques, tools, whatever, you name it, that you use most often when you need to motivate people. And secondly, what are the most common reactions from your team, from your employees, when you implement the stated motivation procedures, techniques, tools? How do they react actually? The third element, how do you feel about their reaction? That is also very important, you know, being the manager and leading the team does not mean that you are Superman or Superwoman. We are as well, when we are doing this, we are as well human beings. We are as well soft, emotional, and so it doesn't mean that we need to behave like iron gentlemen or iron ladies when doing this. We also have our limitations or borders, our value system that we don't want to go through. And lastly, maybe this is also the part where we would end with today's debate and discussion about the motivation, motivating the team in introducing the novelties to our work. Do you see that you still have like an open space or challenges for the future? Do you think that there is still something undiscovered, something additional to what you already know to be used, successfully used for motivating people? So something, a question related to the expectation for searching for new kind of innovative motivation tools also for the future, not only the traditional one or the one that you have already been applying, but something, is it kind of does it make sense? Is it realistic to actually expect that there could be even some more new motivational procedures, tools somewhere to be applied, but we are not at the moment aware of them. So do please think about this for a minute, for this about these 4 questions for a minute or two, and then I would like us to have another and the last round of debate conversation related to this. And maybe then also conclude with some general facts also related to this operational part of motivation, and kind of a summary conclusion for the dot on the I of today's. This last part actually, as it is said, is mostly focused on this operational part. So with what kind of procedures, instruments, techniques, tools we can actually motivate our team, our employees, our students, our target groups to understand and to be open to accept the motivation and the innovation or the novelty into what we are doing. So as it was already shown in this first part of the webinar, the human motivation stems definitely in the beginning from individual intrinsic needs, as was defined by Maslow first, and then further on with the characteristics, with the character specifics that was also further on emphasized with Holland and the others. And who are we as the managers in this story of motivating all individuals that are in the team? So we already know that we have different individuals in our team with different expectations, different actually even needs, different characters, and even with different working obligations. But we need to put all of them on the same red line at the end of the day. And this means that they will all accept and positively respond to something new that we want to introduce into their working space. And doing so, what of course is one of the most fundamental works that managers are supposed to professionally do in this sense is to use a set of concrete operational motivation procedures, techniques, tools, etc. Why so? First of all, to help the team, the employees, to meet their own personal achievements. A big warning here. So we need to think about the reaction of the person that we are trying to motivate. First of all, actually, we need to think about the person, and then in the second row, we need to think about the innovation. So first of all, of course, we need to find the way to the person that we need to motivate. And secondly, in the second row, we need actually to find or to implement the effective tools for motivation with which we are going to achieve the organizational goals.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes,
are we going to
sure.
receive those slides, or should I start doing print screens?
No. Of course, you are going to receive them. Definitely.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. So I think that here, this is something that is very, very important. Mostly, we as the managers are, of course, forgetting about this first element. But if we don't have this one fulfilled, then we can do whatever you want to with the second one, but we will not be completely successful. And if we want to do this one, we need to be aware of the things that we were speaking about in the first half of the webinar. So we need to be aware of the fact that, yes, we do have people, they are different. They can be like Mars and Venus in their differences, but they are all sitting in the same ship, as I am sitting as the captain. And we all want them to vessel into the same, we all need them to vessel into the same direction if we want to move towards the goal. And using the motivation, this actually kind of is supposed to encompass a set of various techniques. There is no successful story or template approach of which techniques are the best or the most successful and so forth. Something that we've already heard also through your interventions. But we need to be aware that the motivation can have and needs to have different phases in relation to the concrete situation in which we need to motivate. Sometimes, actually, it will be just enough that the motivation tools will enlighten the team about something new. So that it will be just enough to fulfill the recognition moment of our team. Sometimes we would like them to change something in their work. So we would like them to be creative. So we do need to motivate with the aim related to the creation in their work. Sometimes we just need to support them. We need to use the tools with which they will get the feeling that they are recognizable. That they are recognized, sorry, that in a way that we do esteem them, that we do respect them. In some cases, they would need to get a kind of award, maybe a kind of a symbolical award of more like a leverage, financial reward award. And in this sense, probably, like the situation for the motivation or the background for the motivation is there very, very differently than in the other cases. Sometimes we just need to encourage, to empower our team for doing something. And as Georgios said, sometimes it is also the most useful and even the most expecting that we do use a kind of a regulation motivation approach. If they don't do this, if they don't follow, then I need to intervene, I need to control, I need to regulate, what Georgios said. Even though this is kind of a, and frequently in the psychological theories, this regulation part is not that emphasized, but it needs to be here as well. Because if nothing works, at the end of the day, you still need to make a kind of a step forward. It is not expecting that when you are supposed to motivate for the introduction of novelty, that you are staying at the same place for too long time. So you need to do something. Sometimes even the shock can help to move further on. But before doing that, it is, of course, very, very important that you try to do everything else. And yes, in this regard, as I said, we can find the wide spectrum of tools, concrete tools that we can apply. I think that Maria was the one who emphasized that we need to apply the so-called flexible work tools, that we need to be aware that if one operational tool doesn't work, that we need to change it, need to try with another one, so that we need to kind of be aware that, yes, sometimes it's only, you know, like a concrete moment. And the sum of something that is working, that is going on at that concrete time inside the team, that would disable us to approach with the motivation tool, which was always working well before that. And that, in that case, you need just to go through this and to find something else, something. You need to be flexible. That's the important. And in this sense, actually, yes, these are the tools that are kind of I would say, related to everyday working procedures, where you can change something. I don't know, for example, why not to start with the coffee in the morning if you feel that there are some tensions inside the group, and, you know, like to soften the situation, and then move to those more challenging, more demanding parts, and so on. So this kind of a really just human type of approach. And then you have this kind of a working operational tools approach that are mostly related to something that we call the setting the goals. The project management software platforms are very useful in the last couple of years with this approach. So this one is very, I would call it a kind of instrumental one, you know, like we set the goals together, we set the deadlines, the timelines, the tools that we are going to approach, and so on and so forth, and then we follow this. So it's something that is really kind of a, I would call it without the soul approach, which is good if you do have the work that just needs to be kind of pushed further on. But at the same time, don't forget, when we are introducing the new things, we need to put also the soul into these novelties. It will not be enough just, you know, like to instrumentalize them, but we need to put also some kind of emotions, the human element into them. Of course, the rewards tools are very, very important, but be careful with them as well, because they can make the differences and the feeling of inequalities inside the team. So you need to find also the criteria here for the fairness. And the last two ones, which are definitely in our world and in the world of motivating for the novelties, from my perspective, the most important and the crucial ones. Enabling the learning tools, enabling the possibilities that your team can get the additional knowledge, additional skills, additional competencies about the topics, about the issues that you want to introduce. And the communication tools, talk, debate, you know, like you need to have this communication line alive all the time. And it will not be enough just through emailing. It will also not be enough just like we are doing it today, with this kind of online approach. You need always to find quite a decent amount of time to personally implement this communication, this debate part. Not in a manner that you talk and the other listen, but the opposite, that you listen, so that your team will have very, very important, for them, very, very important impression that they are heard and that they have the possibility that their voice can be heard, and that it can be that it will be also respected further on in what is going to be implemented through your working procedure, through your working orientation. And last but not least, something that was already emphasized, I think that by Maria, and for me again is very, very important, the crucial, that's a so-called cultural moment. We need to be aware that our differences are not here with the reason that we do show how different and how distant we are among each other, but on the contrary, that the sum of our differences is representing actually the most powerful element in our team, and the reactions, the attitude of the team towards the work, towards the introduction of innovation. So for the conclusion, I'm concluding with the starting questions, the ones that I stated as the questions that are going to lead us through our webinar today. Do we really need innovation in our work? Who needs it? Why? What kind of innovation? How can we integrate this in our daily work? Where are the challenges, opportunities, also the threats? Yes, everything here is needed, is here in our everyday work. We need to be aware, but at the same time, we need to be aware also of the fact that no template, no single or universal answer to those questions can be given. Due, as we said through this webinar today, due to our character, due to the differences in our working places, due to actually even our differences in economic, social, and of course cultural worlds that we are living in. But if we trust, if we invest in our knowledge, competencies, skills, experiences, and if we are putting a lot of attention, everyday attention also to our value system, in this case, we do the best, and in this case, definitely we are going to be successful at the end of the day. We are going to successfully, effectively, and positively motivate our team to understand, to implement, to fulfill the novelties, the innovation in our working everyday procedures and results at the end of the day. I would like really to thank you for choosing this webinar today, to thank especially all of you who were actively collaborating in our webinar, and hope and wish you to be a successful motivator of your team, and of course, especially when you need to introduce the innovations, the novelties that will make our lives and our work easier in the future. So thank you for everything and all the best.